Hey guys, how's it going? So I've been going through my DeviantArt account lately, and I've noticed that one of the most asked questions on it is how I did my Pantera Grimjaw cosplay. So I figured rather than typing out to so many people of details of how I made it, I just sort of go through step by step on the parts that I made and show you how I did it. So let's get it started. So the first thing to go through, I think, is with wigs. The problem that I ran into with this cosplay is that his he's got really long hair, but the top is really spiky. So what I did is for this top part, I bought this wig, which gave the spikes, and it's kind of flat right now, but it sort of gave the shape to it. And then I bought another wig that gave it its length. And then I stacked the two on top of each other to get that length plus the spikiness on top. So the next part that I did was the ears and the crown, I guess you could call it. The ears themselves were pretty simple, and they started off, you kind of see, they're originally actually like prop elf ears that you can get at any costume store or whatever, and then I just took some white fur that I just got at like any craft store or whatever. It comes in like square sheets, and I cut it out and I glued it onto the ear, and then using fabric paint or fabric markers, I should say, I just painted in the colors of the blue and the green onto it. And then the problem I ran into is that they don't stay on your ears very well, and it doesn't get the right angle when you do. So I took a piece of wire and bent it around the shape of the back of my head, and then I attached an elastic onto it. So it just goes around the back of my head, and then it just sits like that, and then I just pop the ears onto the wire like that, and then it just sits back here. So that was how I did that. It was slightly uncomfortable, but I'm still working on ways to make it fit properly and all that. So, as for the crown piece, it's actually just I just cut out a piece of cardboard into the shape, bent it, checked it to my face and all that, and then I covered it all with it's called rigid wrap, also called cast wrap. You can usually get it at any craft store. It's basically plaster in sort of a cotton sheet, and you just dunk it in water and then just plaster it on. I think it would also work if you used paper mache or anything like that, and then just paint it up white. And then after that, I just poked a couple holes in the sides. Oh, I can't really see. And then just put another piece of elastic on it, and so that just goes over the back of my head and just holds it in place. Okay, so for the claws and the feet, the feet were a bit more difficult, but the hands and claws were really simple. I just bought a pair of gloves, super cheap, Value Village, anywhere, just a cheap pair of gloves. Leather actually works really well, it just gets the look there. And then I just cut little holes into the tips of the fingers, and I bought these fake nails from like a costume shop. They're normally just supposed to fit on your finger like that. And then I just poked them through the holes so that they stuck out and gave that claw effect. For the feet, I actually took a pair of socks, and I snipped the edges so I cut it little V's into it, and then I sewed it back up and stuffed it with cotton, just fabric store cotton, and then I sewed those sort of balls of cotton under a little bit, so it gave it more of a paw shape. And then I just glued some fake nails that I bought at a costume shop onto it, cut them so that they looked right, and then for the underneath part, I just took a piece of fake leather and I glued it on there because when I first did this cosplay, I walked around with just these and it wore out the bottom of it and hurt my feet and got my feet dirty. So after that, I decided, okay, we need to figure out something better. And so yeah, I just built soles out of some fake leather. For the fangs that I used for this cosplay, I just went to any costume shop, probably holds them. They come in this sort of coffin case. They're like $20 or something like that. All the instructions on using them are in there. They're really good. They stick in and pull out really easily. So yeah. For the main body piece, the body suit, I should say, what I went and did is I went to just like a dance store and got a white bodysuit, as well as, if you can see, I also got an under sort of a skin colored one. With this, if you just wore the white one, you can see through it fairly easily. So you can see if you're wearing anything underneath, or if you're not wearing anything underneath, if you know what I mean. So this just sort of covers whatever and smooths everything out, and so it's really good to have this one underneath and just sort of sew it into the one underneath as well. For the hole, I just bought iron-on transfers, just printed out a circle and ironed it on. Doing the V shape, cutting it out of the bodysuit was pretty difficult. I'd say it was one of the most difficult parts of this cosplay, just because it's elastic and it stretches and bends in weird ways, and trying to get it trying to sew it is a real pain. As well as putting the collar in was kind of a pain as well. And then the tail was fairly simple. Just bought some fabric that was white, turned it into a tube, stuffed it with cotton. Fairly simple, fairly easy. Tack it on to the back. And then I just did the lines using a black pencil. I didn't want to use pen because I felt it would be too dark. I really didn't want, when I was looking at it, the lines weren't really, really sharp and dark. So I figured that doing it in pencil, you get the lines, but it doesn't look so, it doesn't overpower it, I guess you'd say. So for the last part, which is the arm and leg blades, I guess you could call them, did pretty much the same thing as I did with the crown. Cardboard and then cast wrapping it. Fairly simple, fairly easy. Just getting it the right shape to the right size for your arm and leg. But the biggest problem I ran into with this cosplay was finding a way to attach these to the costume without them moving around or falling off or anything like that. And the method that I found, it worked, but it's not one that I would fully recommend you use, just because I ran into some difficulties with it causing pain and that sort of thing. But I mean, with cosplay, if you're not getting hurt at some point, it's not real cosplay. So what I did is I bought rollerblade pads, and then I sort of modified them so that they fit in the right area, and then I used a piece of wire that I stuck through the back and just glued that in, and then I just poked holes in the bottom of this so it just slid right into there like that. And then I had these underneath my costume, poking through the bodysuit, and then I put these over top of it. For the leg ones, I used the knee pads and just had them inside as well. Same idea, only it strapped to the back of my knee. Also,
not the best way of doing it. Still working on trying to find a better way of doing it, but eventually I'm sure I'll figure out a way, and when I do, I'll let you guys know. So yeah, that's pretty much takes care of everything on how I made my cosplay. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know, and I'll put some links on some of the stuff that I use and some of the sites that I got some of my materials from, and hope to hear from you guys again soon. Have a good one.